Hello world, it's September 2nd, 2009. I just got my exchange student, Matei, to the bus stop, off to his first day of school, and I expect everything will go real well. He's a nice, quiet boy, and he's going to do just fine. Wanted to talk a little bit today about being raised a single child, as so many children are in this day and age. I was a rarity back in the 50s and the early 60s, raised from a broken home, but there were many. For my friends back in Audubon, New Jersey, Russie Lord, her dad was killed in a car accident. I think maybe before she was born, or not soon after. Dale Fry, living next door to me, his mom died in a car accident. And there were a couple more around town, but being a product of a divorce back then was pretty rare. But nowadays, it's very common. Now, I've been getting comments back from some of you, some of my friends there on Facebook, and I do appreciate it very much. With your kind comments about my family's, my always strained relationships with my family. But the thing that helps me has always helped me get out of my, the very low points in my life, which probably led to a lot of my, depression, was always trying to figure out how to, get closer to my mother and other relatives. Well, just not to be. And I can live with it very well now. And I also have a message in there for other people that know children from broken homes. The depths of despair that a child goes to can be very great. This even includes children that were born from the surrogate parent thing that was the rage for so long. You want to know your parentage. And being raised the way I was, never knowing my father, listening to my relatives call my father no good son of a bitch, and the stories I even heard about how they felt about me really hurts. The people that I see going through divorce, how they bring each other into it, playing off the child like that can't be done. Always remember, no matter what you're saying about your former spouse to the child's eventually going to grow up and discover that not everything you said is really true. Now, for me, I went through the early part of my life, a lot of anguish over my father. Never knew who he was. I never saw a picture of him until I was 15 years old. And that hurt very deeply. I constantly battled with my grandmother over my sister and other things, and my grandfather just wasn't a factor. He just did his own thing. I think in some ways he resented us being there. Best thing my mother ever did for me was sign for me to go in the Air Force when I was 17. Other than that, my report cards, I think, point out very poignantly my mother's involvement in my schooling and whatever else, that it wasn't there, and just as really it hasn't been there throughout our lives. Judy used to say all the time, you keep trying to buy your mother's love, and she's just not there. Essentially, my mother's just never been able to put out any effort in our lives. Including when Judy was dying of cancer. My mother was not there for us whatsoever. She's always had excuses why she couldn't do this, couldn't do that. So that's not said. I, on the other hand, want to point out I was a very good son. Countless visits to Cleveland, whatever nice gift I could get them, I got. I'd take them on trips, pay for plane rides. when I took her back to her high school reunion, I took care of all that. And then that, whatever. You know, I always did the right thing until finally I just gave up. I just gave up. I mean, there was just really no relationship there. My mother's always been able to use the word "I love you," but she's never been able to show it. So in my later years, I've had to deal with that, and I've done very well with it. I'm very, you know, like the last time I saw my father, he picked a fight with me, and I just, from that day on, I've always made it a point to keep trouble out of my life. If somebody's not going to be my friend, they're also not going to be my enemy. I'm just don't allow the hurt into my life anymore. So I didn't see my father again until he died, and then I went down and did the right thing. And it's essentially the same thing with my mother. If you're going to hurt me all the time, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to tell my mother how I feel about anything, because it will always be what she's always said. Well, I did the best I could. Well, the best she could do wasn't good enough. Now, I know she has it in her. She's raised another child there in Cleveland and lives across the street from her whole life. And I know she's been well taken care of emotionally and whatever. But I have no ill feelings one way or the other. I love my mother. I just don't want her to hurt me anymore, and I'm not going to allow it. Which brings what good this has all done for me in my life. I'm a very good researcher. I'm very good at analyzing problems, and I'm also able to take the good from the bad. And having the background that I had in school and at home has allowed me to greatly help other children and people who I found having problems in their lives. There are, as I've already mentioned, many things people can do to help that child who is going through a lot of problems with divorces and deaths in the family. And there's a lot of community can do to reach out to these children, both in volunteer work and just because you're there. I have worked with so many children that needed it, and I've had successes, and yes, I've had failures. And then many, I don't know what happened, but I often think that something I said to some of those children somewhere, you know, has helped them have a better life, or later on be able to analyze what is hurting them in their life and get over it, as I have done. You know, even now with Facebook, I have several relatives on Facebook after the initial email of contact, and I have not heard from many of them. I had a chat one day with one of them, and not once did that person ask me even one question about my life, where I've been, what I've done, how am I. Not one question. And that's just the way it is. And I accept it, and I'm not unhappy with it anymore. I'm very comfortable in my life now. For those of you that are, you know, that are concerned, and I do appreciate your concern, I'm very in a good place in my life now. It has nothing to do with Matei, my new student. Sometimes as a typical teenager, it's like he's not even there anyhow. So anyhow, my little bit of my history of my life, and a little bit of advice for those that need it in these circumstances. And what else can I say? My time is up. This is Gus from Morning saying have a good day, enjoy yourself, and go hug a loved one. Bye now.